Hi guys, we're here with Beck Lover, friend of mine. We had an episode, what was it, last summer?
A couple months ago.
Oh, wow, it went, feels like forever to me, but YouTube took it down, so we're gonna do this again.
And we're going to watch what we
yes,
say. We're going to speak in code, like I told you. You told me, you said not to worry. I told you. Was I wrong?
Now I should have, but you know what? I actually didn't
King of being
edit.
banned.
Yeah, I should have edited certain words out. Now I know. You want to share anything about you, promote anything before we get into some serious questions?
Nothing. Just my name's Beck Lover. I'm some crazy guy on the internet. You can watch my podcasts, my collaborations. Anywhere podcasts are received, you can watch us on YouTube, Rumble, or Spotify. You can find all of my links at BEK, that's B like boy, BeckLover.com, or go to my IG at BEKLoverNYC.
Nice. I'm sure you guys have already seen some of his work. You're pretty viral. I think that's... Let's get straight into it. If you could change the world, how would you change it?
This is a very wide and general question, Catalina. Mm-hmm. If I could change the world,
yeah,
I would get rid of, war.
Okay.
It's the number one thing I would get rid of. Or I would just get rid of politicians altogether. They're the problem.
Anyone in specific that you
All
can't
of them.
say? All of them.
Every last, as of today's generation, and I'm not talking about physically harming people. I'm just saying if I would get rid of them all. Because I don't think there's a single leader on the face of the planet that cares about their citizens more than themselves and the people that they work with. The definition of a leader to me is one that is willing to sacrifice their own well-being for the embetterment of their citizens. Meaning, I'm giving up my time to make the world and the place that I am governing over a better place. And if you can name one person that, listen, do I agree with some of the stuff Trump's doing? Yeah.
Some might argue Trump is one of the...
Listen, compared to what's been out there over the last 50 years, there's a lot about what he's doing that I like. But I also feel like there's certain things that he continues to do what everyone's done before him, especially when it comes to other countries and overseas. And when you claim to be America first, I think he's already proven that America is not always first, especially with certain policies dealing with certain conflicts in the Middle East.
Is it a good idea to get Greenland, to purchase Greenland? What do you think?
I don't even know. See, I didn't see that one coming out. I could understand the Panama Canal. I really can. Why can I understand the Panama Canal? Mm-hmm. Panama exists because of us, to my knowledge of the history, so please forgive me, I haven't read this history in a long time, but Panama did not exist until the Americans armed the Panamanian rebels, which led to the creation of that country. We spent all the money to build that canal, which gave the world access and not have to go all the way around, right? So we connected the world in the real world, right? Boats were the means of travel and communication before phone lines and internet, yeah? So if we spent all of that money and then we gave them this infrastructure and we helped them become a country, and then they're going to allow a country like China or anyone else to have dominion over that or control it or influence it, then I actually support that decision by Donald Trump. So if you guys are not going to do what we agreed to and we built it and we helped you become a country, then we're going to take it back.
Mm-hmm. I like how you bridged it. I don't know much about Greenland, but I'm going to talk about
Listen,
the canal.
One thing I think people should realize is sometimes there's things that, hey, you might not know the right answer. It's better not to talk, man. If I'm not an expert... You
could be a politician.
Well, I think the problem is too many people think they're experts on everything. And there's so much noise. And because anyone can speak now, and anyone can go viral now, and anyone's voice can be magnified, which is not a bad thing. But the negative side is that idiots are also being magnified. Morons are being magnified. And I think the way a lot of these companies have geared their algorithms has actually been to fuel people that are fools, people that are simpletons, people that are idiots and will put Tide Pods in their mouth and dance around and do stupid stuff. And I think the other side of that is there's very intellectual people who speak a lot of truth and teach people about the world we live in. And they are not magnified by the algorithms, but they are more magnified by the audience. I didn't go viral because the algorithm likes me. The algorithm hates me because of their parameters, however they judge things. It's because there was an emotional connect with the audience. I believe what this guy's saying. I like the way he's putting these thoughts together. I support this message. So they're taking time out of their life to A, watch the content, B, click a heart. And I think the secret that no one really thinks, I think the real driving factor of content is the actual comments. Because think about this logically. What could have resonated so much with you that you had to stop, watch, click like, share, easy to do in seconds.
Yeah.
But when you click on the caption and then write a comment, you actually have to stop, create a thought, and enter it in. That's why trolls, you're welcome. You can comment all day on my content. I think the unwritten rule for things going viral is that engagement. And I think the algorithm gives that a lot more leverage than anyone really believes it does. I think because they know if this made an emotional response where someone felt like they had to stop and write something, I think if I was making up my own numbers and guessing, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't claim to have the secret goose here, but I've noticed a pattern in my own content. When it strikes nerves and people go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, those seems to be the videos that are so viral. Right now I have a video that has 3 million views just on Instagram in less than 3 days because I had another Palestinian artist speaking about how come DJ Khaled has been so quiet about the whole situation in Gaza, even though that's his origins, right? And people going back at it, right? So the two sides that are warring in real life are now warring in my comments, and guess what? The video goes viral.
True. Okay, so now that we understood the secret sauce,
I think, I don't know, but
I think you're onto something. I'm still on the politics. What's the Tulsi Gabbard? Democrat turned Republican, and Trump supporter has
Love
shifted.
a lot of what she's said, a lot of what she's been doing.
But
yeah.
she shifted her stance on a variety of topics, including Section 702.
Okay, clarify that for the record.
So that is basically, that's a government surveillance. So she was against it, and now she's with it. I'm assuming she compromised
recently, right?
Yes. You get a lot of people to support you because you're against 702, Section 702. People don't want to be surveilled by the government. You know, I don't want the government to have access to. Exactly. But now she's with it.
Not without a warrant or a real suspecting of some type of crime.
Exactly. But she's with it. So can she be trusted now after all this?
No, if she's made that many public... First of all, let me just clarify for the record so your audience understands. I'm not left or right.
That's pretty obvious.
I try to be right. I try to be right, meaning right, not politically aligned. Let me support what you're saying. We heard Donald Trump talk about, in the last time he ran for re-election, I defeated ISIS. He was bragging about it. I defeated ISIS, bragging about it. He just dropped bombs on Yemen, okay? His first military action, just authorized strikes against Yemen to take out ISIS. I thought you took them out, Donald. So they're all doing the same thing, man. They're all saying, we're going to do this, and we've did this, and they're not doing, in my opinion, not even 10% of what they promise. What should be driving the American people crazy, and me as someone that was inside World Trade Center Plaza the day those buildings fell down. I was underneath the World Trade Center, in the World Trade Center Plaza. I was on the E train, last stop World Trade Center, as a 19-year-old man. Coming out from underneath them as they're on fire on my third or fourth day of school, or whatever it was, at Pace University. And in the aftermath of those buildings collapsing and hearing George Bush Jr. get up, because that's when I really started to pay attention. Up until that moment, I always thought the presidents were like in the movies. They'll die for us. They'll, like, you know, you watch the movies with End of the World. No, honey, you go. I have to stay here. And they like give their life. Like, it's like, you know, you believe all these movies when these people would literally sacrifice the entire nation for themselves. All of them. So to me, when you're following up on your first comment, a leader to me is one that sacrifices their own well-being, even their own family, for the good of their people. Some of my heroes that I consider leaders Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. King, Malcolm X. And we should want to know about his assassination too. Why are they not releasing those files? And Adem Yashari in the resistance of Kosovo. His whole family lost their lives. But that loss sparked the rest of the people saying, you know what? If he's willing to lose his entire family because he doesn't want to live under this regime, then we're willing to die too. And today they're free. That is a leader. When you study Muslim history, Omar al-Khattab was a man who was in head of the most power. Read his life. His life is amazing. This is a man who would stay up. Okay, first of all, when they asked him, do you want to, you're going to be what they call the caliphate, right? You will be the king of the Muslims, okay? In the aftermath of the Prophet's death, peace be upon him. There was one called Abu Bakr. He was the first caliphate. And then there was Omar al-Khattab. Omar al-Khattab, they came to him and said, you're going to be the king of the Muslims. He said, no. I don't want to be the king of the Muslims. I don't want to be... Okay, you go ask any stupid person today. And I say they're stupid because people don't think critically. We're going to make you the If someone asked me, do you want to be the president of the United States of America? I would say no.
Because?
Because I understand from a spiritual perspective that if I am in charge of this nation, I must answer to God on the day of judgment where there's no hiding. Enjoy your lives, all of you, you criminals, you people that destroy millions of people's lives and drop bombs and don't worry about it. Enjoy your time, man. That's why people say like, oh, where's God? Because to God, this is all a joke in my opinion, because he's outside of this. He knows in the end, he has the final say. And how we're crying for these babies that are being blown up, we're going to wish we were those babies on the day of judgment when we face our Creator. We're going to wish we were that baby. They won't even stand judgment because they died in the age of innocence. So these leaders, everyone, you tell me to be you want to be the president? I want to be the president. No, my friend, I understand that if I'm the president of this country, I will have to answer to God for every single decision that affected millions, and if you're the president of the United States of America, billions of lives. The reason Omar said no, and they forced him to become the king, they forced him, was because he understood, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's recorded in the history, that he would stay up all night when they forced him. They said, if you don't take this position, we will leave the kingdom with no ruler, meaning there will be chaos. Because they all knew he's the most honorable one of them. So for months he would stay up and pray and cry to God, and he would say, oh God, forgive me if a dog dies of thirst while I'm in power. That's his fear, a dog. Imagine how he would take care of his subjects. And he did. This is in recorded history. They conquered Persia. He was assassinated by the Persians in prayer. He's recorded as going all night around his city. He's the king. You show me another king in history that did this. And he would go throughout the kingdom. And he came across an encampment of a woman, the babies were crying in the middle of the night. Why are these? He didn't tell her, I'm Omar the king. He looked like a bum. He was dressed like a beggar. They would send ambassadors from all over the world. He'd be sleeping on the floor of the mosque. And there was like, we're here to meet the king of the Muslims. Like, it's that guy. This old man that's like laying on the floor that looks homeless, that's your king? Because he wasn't wearing gold, and it's me. He was a true leader. The reason he didn't want the position was he's going to have to answer to God, why did you cut a tree down? A tree. Why did you cut a tree that didn't need to be cut down, let alone how you treated every living subject?
And if that was doable, why wouldn't you do it if that's doable?
Because, what do I think I would do the right thing for people? I would. I believe true leaders don't need to be elected. They don't need to have billions of dollars to spend. There is no free election here. Because if it was a free election, you wouldn't need billions of dollars in super PAC funds to become president, which is why they're all compromised, including Trump, and why he still goes along with certain agendas, even though I believe they're morally wrong. And we don't need to get into it. Now, is he better than the other side? The other side can't even figure out if a boy's a boy or girl's a girl. And if you're going to make me insult my own intelligence that God gave me, I will never align with you. So out of the lesser of two evils, that's why the majority went this way. That's what happened. We are diabetic as a nation, and we have a choice between Coke or Pepsi. Which one? Or you want to eat Snickers or Milky Way? Which one? They're both going to put you in diabetic shock, but which one are you going to choose? It's the illusion of choice. It's the illusion of freedom. A true leader does what's best for the people, not for themselves. A true leader doesn't even have to run for election because the people know this person cares more about the world and the people that are around him or her than they do themselves and their people. And you name me one leader that you can actually say exists on this earth. There's not one.
So think about America without a president.
No, we need a president, but we need, free election should be, any of us should be able to get on that platform. Now that we live in the digital age, why can't all the candidates that want to run go through background checks? Now we're on X Live. Everyone can speak. Why do we have to spend billions of dollars for these presidencies? That could be used to better our people. So it's not a fair election. There are people out there that might not be the richest, but they would probably be the best president we could ever have, and we'll never hear their voice. How are we getting the best? We're not. We're getting the establishment over and over and over and over again. And even if Trump's the best of the best in the world, 4 years from now, he'll be gone. And it'll be right back to where we were.
Yeah, we're probably, it just kind of goes back and forth.
Okay.
Because the left went too far left, so now America's
kind of psychotic. They lost their minds.
Kind of coming
you
back.
Lost your mind. You need 30 different letters to describe a human being's sexuality. You've lost your mind. Seriously, I'm not even saying that. It's sick, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, it's sick. It's sick. There's something wrong here. And it's not to pick on that community. Live your life however you want. You have that right as an American. Doesn't mean I agree with it. But you don't have a right to push you. Islam is a lifestyle. Christianity is a lifestyle. It is a way of life to follow Christ, to follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, to follow Buddha. These are lifestyles. These are not just faith. This is a lifestyle choice. Cool. You got your lifestyle. You want to call yourself a man, a woman, a LG, whatever you want to call yourself. You have that right as an American. What you do not have a right is to push your lifestyle onto my lifestyle. So what I say, the easiest way in America, you live your life. I live my life, and we coexist. How hard is that? But what the media did, what social media has done, is galvanize these groups, laser focus on less than 0.5% of the American population. Okay, we're talking about transgenderism. Less than 0.5%. This is what we talk about all day. They're not even the majority. We're wasting all this energy and DEI and millions of dollars and fighting and protesting, not by accident. This is an agenda to destabilize or to incur a color revolution, which is how you topple a superpower. You create ideology, and by making people stay silent, and a lot of you were cowards, a lot of you out there, knowing that you know it's wrong. Because everyone I talked to, I didn't hear anyone standing up for that group. I talked to thousands of people. I didn't see anyone really standing up because they're not even, how many people do you know that want to go and chop off their organs? Seriously, I've met one. We met one. And if I'm being fair, it was a he that chopped off we were in Fort Lauderdale, whoever you are, very happy. Wasn't like they say he wanted to take his life. Who knows? He's like the best thing I ever did. Okay, great. You know what? I don't have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, as a straight man, less competition. That's one less man trying to be with a woman. So, off the record, do I agree with it? No. Do I think spiritually it's wrong? Yes, I do. It does not go with my faith or Christianity, right? But as a straight man, I hope they all become gay. There's more women for me if I was single. But I'm saying that's how I always thought. Could you imagine if George Michael was straight? There wouldn't have been a single woman left on earth. Thank God he was gay. It's just a joke, though.
It's a joke, guys.
It's a joke. But you get my point. I don't got a problem. You want to live that lifestyle? Do I agree with him morally? No. Do I believe spiritually you're in trouble? Yes. People go, well, they're born like that. So let me explain to you how that works. I have friends and family that were born completely crippled, paralyzed. I had a cousin with the same name, God rest his soul. His name was Beck. He was born, he couldn't move a single muscle. He lived in agonizing pain most of his life. Okay? Was that fair? No, that was not fair. That was the test that God gave him and his family. I believe he's definitely in heaven, because what could he have done wrong except his whole life excruciating pain? That may be tragic to us, but to the Creator it might be like, this being is going to suffer for a little while because it's a test to the being and to the family.
To those around him, yeah.
But in the next life, which doesn't end, it's forever, we're going to wish we were them. There's recordings of this in Muslim tradition of the people that suffered in this earth, and when they stand on the day, they don't even stand, half of them. Just Judgment Day itself is such a trial and tribulation, to see the hellfire, to see God in all of his glory, to see all of the prophets with their nations, and have to answer for everything we've done, Catalina, and not know what our fate will be. And the possibility of going trapdoor B, into the flames of the fire. We're going to wish these people that I'm telling you that we cry for in this life, that we wish, we're going to wish we were these people. This, in my opinion, is called divine wisdom, the knowledge that only God has. I don't believe, I believe that we have free will, but I believe the game board of life is rigged by the Creator. Your soul chose its path to be righteous or not. And you are living out what your soul chose. Well, if God created the world, then, he knows everything. Then why did, why? Because you
Just
don't
your white voice.
Because you don't know everything. So just like in this world, we have a court, we have evidence. God allows you to live your life out to the true nature of your soul. And he inserts you into this simulation. That's what it is, God's simulation. It's not simulation of aliens. God created this universe and this world, not only to test humanity, but other species that we're in a test with, which is the species of the devil, the demonic realm. They were created, Satan was created before us. The angel Gabriel and the angels were created before us. We're not the first creation of God. And there are no aliens. We are the aliens. We were the ones cast down. They were on this earth before we were. We are in an interdimensional war, is what we are in. The reason they tell you aliens and UAPs and UFOs is because I believe those people on this earth, many of them happen to be leaders, are aligned with the demonic realm. They feel that they are the illuminated ones, or what people would call the Illuminati, or whatever group, that they are more intelligent than all of us because they have access to the unseen. They have sold their souls, whether through black magic or rituals, which I've done many specials on. And by showing loyalty to the demonic realm, they get knowledge that they shouldn't have, which is how I think most of this technology was created. I do not think human beings created this. And where did this all come from? Really the space age, right? The space age movement, rocketry, all that stuff. They were all into the occult. They have all been documented doing black magic. You study the life of Aleister Crowley, Walt Disney, L. Ron Hubbard. You study black magic. You study Jack Parsons, which is why spaceships actually, the rockets went up. In their own words, they told you they did rituals and they did occult practices. And how is it that all these people were together and doing these rituals, and the Beatles and Hollywood and this and that? I'm not making this up. Go read their lives. Go read their books. So there is the unseen world that many people throughout history have not been able to name. And now they try to tell you, people like Billy Carson, the clown that got exposed, that I've been calling him out for years, a New Age prophet, teaching you what they tried to teach you 60 years ago in the hippie age, the New Age movement, that we came from aliens and they made us, and now they call it the Anunnaki. And if the Anunnaki are real because, look, all these civilizations that couldn't communicate with each other have the same hieroglyphics. No, stupid. The devil tricks people the same way every time. Nothing's changed. If it worked on one civilization, he did it to the next. His only goal is to take as many souls with him as he can. That's what's going on. So we are the last inhabitants of this planet. There have been others before us. We don't know everything about them, but they have been here for a very long time. And they have different characteristics than we do. They're made from different material than we're made from.
So you just don't call them alien?
They're not. They're alien in that aspect that they're foreign, and most people don't understand the demonic realm. There are no aliens. There's only demons. And I feel that the reason they're declassifying all this information is because we've been preconditioned for 60 years. with E.T. and E.T. go home, right? And all those movies to subconsciously plant the seed into humanity's mind that you were not created by God, you were created by aliens. And I love it when people like Billy Carson get exposed. He was destroyed, not because of his theories, but because what he was pulling upon was not accurate. So you claim to be a master and an expert. I never tell people I'm an expert, a master. I actually, and I forgot to do it here, please double check everything I'm telling you. I make mistakes. I can mix up names and dates. I'm a human being. I am not perfect. You should always ask, who am I listening to? What is their bias? What is their purpose? Who's behind them? Does someone finance them? It's the same questions we should be asking about our politicians. Because if I can figure out who's lobbying them, then I might start to understand what their real agenda is going to be. How do you feel that you saw Trump and Bill Gates all buddy all of a sudden? They're announcing Stargate.
You mean Obama?
Oh, no, Trump announced with the guy from Oracle and
Oh yeah.
okay, and this thing and now it's dangerous. They're all on the same side now. Now it's Musk, Trump, Zuckerberg, Bezos, the perfect storm to create a technocratic cryptocurrency, social credit dictatorship for the entire world. The only difference is instead of forcing it upon humanity, they're going to make them beg for it. If you guys believe that some Japanese wizard invented Bitcoin, you're a clown. He's a Japanese wizard and he invented Bitcoin because it's decentralized and it's going to save the world. My friend, that's why BlackRock owns like 70% of it. That's why the universal ledger, you can't hide anything. I don't care what coin it is. And we don't know which coin it is, but you mark my words. They're going to announce a coin soon. They're going to announce a new monetary policy. They're going to put it under the guise of Doge, that this is how we're going to be able to monitor all this excess spending of the government, and that's how they will bring the crypto era to the world. And you know as a Christian how dangerous that is. And this is where Christians and Muslims are on the same page. But they got us fighting each other because it's to their advantage. I've always said to my Christian brothers, we both believe in Jesus Christ. We both believe he will come back. Why do we need to fight each other? When he comes back, he can tell us whether he was God or just a prophet. How simple is that? Until then, let's focus on these people who have perpetual war, who have created disaster, who spend trillions on destruction and nothing for construction of the very country we live in.
Well, when Jesus comes back, you're going to become a Christian. I know it. But back to this whole picture of... do you think that Musk is trying to get rid of 80% of the federal government because he's trying to bring in AI to replace
That's another problem. Okay, yes. Listen to me. This is very dangerous. What is brewing would probably make George Orwell roll over in his grave. Have you seen the robots that they're coming out with right now? Have you looked at Boston Dynamics? The demoralization of the police force. The reason most tyrants have not lasted throughout history is because eventually even the military and the police like, you know what, man, the hell with this. I'm going to shoot my own brothers and sisters. So that human discretion is what's always led to their toppling. What if they could install the system under Doge? And I'm not saying this is exactly the agenda, but I believe it to be. Go look at my clips. I said, I don't trust any of them until we have a reason to trust them. What better way? We're going to bring this in and no more corruption and then now the machines are out and running and there'll be no more shootings and unjustness, and then they just flip a switch, bro. Your prisons I've never argued you can't make money with crypto. Find me a video where I say you can't make money and I'll never speak publicly again. I've always said that's how they get you used to it. You are building the prison of your children tomorrow. Eventually, they can tell you how to use it. I can't even tell you how I know. I know of something else. Okay? They're going to use global warming and all this in the future. They're going to have a carbon-based tax system. How much pollution? This is what they want if certain groups win. Where every human being will be taxed accordingly to how much pollution they make.
And the 15-minute cities, too.
All of that is a part of this plan. And I don't see anyone that's really standing up against it. So you tell me who's leading the charge against it. Who? Christians and Muslims, people of faith, no one else. There's people that are not spiritual that also can see it. There's danger here, man. A robot won't say no to pull the trigger. A drone, which is more dangerous than any F-15 now, right? Warfare has changed. Okay, F-15s and all this stuff is obsolete now with drone warfare. They can send drones now, like 1,000 drones at once. You can't stop it. So we're in a whole different world now. And really, the only way we can win humanity is free speech being protected. Unless we demand an amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which classifies social media as the new public square, because we have seen countries topple. We have seen violence come from it. We have seen manipulation and censorship from people like Zuckerberg, who publicly admitted that, yes, the government pressured me not to allow you guys to talk about certain things, right? So when you have the head of one of the biggest tech companies in the world telling you, the government forced me to silence you, then we need legislation to protect free speech on social media. It needs to be a new amendment because technology now has outpaced, in my opinion, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And the only way we can ever push back and protect the world and humanity from all of these threats is to protect free speech. And it is not protected the way they are giving the perception. And the fact that they're all together now, it's only people have short memories. People have TikTok brain. There's many laws that should have been repealed already that haven't been, like the Patriot Act. You're talking about surveillance. Now knowing that all these wars that were started on false pretenses. How do you think I felt as a 19-year-old? We're going to go to Afghanistan, as George Bush, we're going to take out the Taliban. Here we are 24 years later. They're still in power, more armed than ever. We've been paying them billions of dollars. Explain that to the firefighters that died that day. Explain that to the citizens of New York City. Explain that to the cops and the Port Authority and the civilians that were told by the EPA, by Christine Todd Whitman, that the air in Lower Manhattan was safe. They lied to me. I led a protest after the buildings fell because I knew something was wrong. And they said, look, all the charts, the air is safe. You guys are safe. 10 years later, there's a multi-billion-dollar fund, like there will be one day probably for these nice things everyone put into their arms without questioning. Stupidity. I don't feel bad for them because they made people like me go through hell. And all I was trying to do was say, yo, slow down. Because once you put it in, you're not getting it out. Be careful because the zero-sum gain is really small because it doesn't stop you from getting it. And if you've already had it, what are you going to gain by putting it in you except you don't know what it does to you long term? And guess what? Not looking so stupid anymore, am I? Rachel Maddow should be charged with crimes against humanity. Okay? When you get it, no one else can get it. Lie. How many friends and family I have that have serious issues today because they trusted an agency? The EPA told us the air was safe after 9/11. 10 years later, there's a multi-billion-dollar World Trade Center fund. I'm eligible because I was still a student in the aftermath. Okay, thank God I'm okay. I'm not sick, so I don't need to file a claim. Thousands and thousands of more people have died after what happened in New York City after September 11 than died in the buildings trusting a three-letter agency. You think I was going to trust these clowns again when it came to what happened in 2019? Oh, it's safe. Oh, we'll give you a cheeseburger too if you take it, like Mayor de Blasio. Take it. Oh, there's there's fries? Like, how fucking stupid are you people, bro? Wake up. It's shameful, bro. We live in a world where you're being dumbed down. The same weapons that were created to unify humanity are also destroying and dividing humanity. These are weapons of mass envy and mass destruction to the brain. We have 20-second memories. Lab leak. What three-letter agency last week said, yeah, it was a lab leak? Oh, but no, we were crazy. No, I like to think, man. I like to stop. Wait, hang on a second. They want me to put this thing in my arm. Can it stop me from getting, no, because I know when I take a polio shot, which I have, so people go, oh, you're against, no, I'm not. I have that shot, I have that shot. Okay, now I don't trust any of them anymore. But I know when I took that shot, I'm not going to get polio. I could jump into an ocean full of polio and I'm good. That's how you get polio, in water. But you couldn't give me the same proof. I could put you in a box with someone that had the same sickness that they were trying to save us from, right? You still get it. So what did you gain? You know how many people I've met now? Tell me you haven't met them yourselves. I wish I never got it. I didn't gain anything from getting it. I've never been the same since I took it. There's millions of people.
Yeah, I actually lost friends.
Okay.
They died the
I
the
did
night
too.
of. Yeah.
Okay, I met a guy, I'll never forget. I went for an eye test. The guy had a patch. He's like, the minute I took it, I lost my eyesight. But I swear to God, if I'm lying, at my optometrist, he lost his eyesight. My friend Jill, her brother had a stroke. She lost her arm movement. Okay, these are two people I grew up with. I'm not making this up. This is not some story on the internet.
Did they get any money? I bet you not.
What money? Forget that. What about our families we lost? If the three-letter agency is admitting that it was a leak from that lab, now you know why Fauci has a pardon. Pardon without even being accused of a crime yet.
Don't worry, he's being investigated now.
He can be investigated all he wants, man. My point is this.
That won't bring back the dead people.
You lost your family, but shame on the people that forget their family. I lost a cousin, God rest his soul, Agran. First week, dead. You don't want justice for your families? You don't want answers for why your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, why they lost their lives since 2019? They don't deserve justice? If you came home and found them in a pool of blood, you wouldn't demand the one that took their lives? Yet you're looking at them every day on TV, every day. You're cheering for them. I saw people painting murals of the people that took your family's lives in New York City. That's how sick the world became. I don't care if I lose my life. I have spoken my truth and what I have seen. I know the difference between a man and a woman. We can start there anytime you want. Wake up. Wake up. We're not your enemies. You guys have been programmed, man. Like completely programmed. Now I could get it if I'm like, oh, MAGA hat. No, I support because I had, who else am I going to support?
Yeah, there are no options. Well,
But who am I going to support?
I went to New York and they actually, during the pandemic, and they said you can't eat here because you don't have the papers.
Oh, I almost beat that up. I almost went to jail. That happened to me.
I had to eat hot dog from
The best
street
part of
because
that-
I couldn't eat, go inside of a restaurant to eat.
The best part of that was the guy wasn't even here legally in the country. So I walk in, he's like, sir, you must have a paper. I said, my man, how long have you been in America? I'm like, sir, how long have you been in America? He's like, 2 years. I said, I know you're not even a citizen. You don't even have a green card. I said, you're going to ask me for health documents. You're not even here legally. I said, either you give me my cheeseburger or I'm going to beat the fuck out of you.
Jeez.
Just like that. It was at, I forgot what diner on 34th Street, 23rd Street. I said, let me tell you how beautiful this is. Because of how they run New York City now, I'll be out in a half hour because they let criminals out right away, no bail. I'm going to come back here and beat the fuck out of you again. So you want to make me my cheeseburger or do you want to see if I'm lying? My cheeseburger was on my table. He probably spit all over it, but for America,
still
man.
ate it.
For America, for freedom. It was like upside down world. I swear to God, we were living in a dystopia in that city. I'm viral for having the video that says, when are you going to wake up? It doesn't matter if you're left or right. Everyone thinks Donald Trump is Jesus Christ, and he's not. And even if he was, the amount of corruption that has seeped into America, it does not matter who sits in that office. And 4 years is not enough to fix it. I'm not left or right. I try to be right.
Now I have a more difficult question for you. If you want to look over this, it comes from the European Parliament, and it's a wave of Muslim cases across Europe. And I quote, Europe is currently being overwhelmed by a wave of committed by Muslim migrants, particularly in Scandinavian countries, like the UK and all that, England, Sweden. What are your thoughts on that? I don't know if you want to
I don't know.
look over.
My thoughts are very simple.
As a Muslim man, what is the advice
As a
you
Muslim
would give
man,
these?
I don't have to justify or defend this.
How do you stop these people from doing that?
Okay? Because first of all, to do that to a woman or a child is punishable by death in Islam. They stone them to death. That's number one.
Yet they're not even
My
going to
question
jail
is,
in
forget
UK.
the foreigners. Forget them. How do you guys as Christians justify the Anglican Church? The Anglican Church, right now, the head, covering, within the church, within England, all the molestations that were happening from their own clergy or from the Roman Catholic Church that
stick to my
everyone...
question.
But my point is, when you can tell me how they justify it, as they've swept it under the rugs, then come talk to me about some sick people, because it's not fair. What you're doing, in my opinion, is gaslighting. And I'm going to be very honest.
I still
with
want
you.
the answer. Like, how can
I don't need to justify.
America
That's not...
prevent this from
Were
happening
those
here?
priests Christian? If those priests molested children, and boys at that, a lot of those priests went with boys, were they being Catholic or Christian? I'm asking you, yes or no?
First of all,
I know you're
Catholics
Orthodox.
are Christian.
I understand. I'm asking
Catholics
you.
are Christian.
Under the
They're not two different things.
overall branch of Christianity, were they being Christian? These are clergy people. Forget regular citizens. Were they being Christian? Yes or no?
It doesn't.
I'm asking because I'm trying to answer your question. You shouldn't even have to answer. The answer should be no. They were not being Christian. You can't be a rapist. Okay, so there's your answer. You cannot be a Muslim and molest kids or women. You will be punished by death in Islam. There's not a single Muslim country.
So what you're saying is they should be punished by death.
By death. Not only there, in America, everywhere. You rape a woman, you kill a kid, they have to live with that trauma the rest of their life. They should be executed. Publicly. That's how you make the other ones fear. That's why I love what Vitali's doing. Shout out to Vitali, man. He reinvented himself. He's like one of them streamers. He got arrested a million times streaming, on the World Series. I feel no obligation to speak on behalf of them because, in my opinion, that's an oxymoron. A Muslim rapist, a Muslim terrorist. You cannot be a Muslim and be a rapist. You cannot be a Muslim and be a terrorist. You cannot be a Christian and be a child molester. So when they can answer, ask them the answers. I defend them with the same word. I don't blame Christianity for the teachings because the teachings don't tell them to go molest children. So when you have the Protestant church doing it and covering it up, he just stepped down last month. Pull it up. You should have printed that article first and then ask me that question.
Yeah, but unlike
Let me finish.
Islam,
you're talking about Europe and rape and molestation. Why doesn't the clergy, the head of the religion within their own country, talk about how they molested boys and girls for decades?
They
want to galvanize the Muslim issue. And how many Muslims did it? Like, do they give you stats? What are the stats?
There are gangs. There are hundreds of girls.
Okay, you had the largest payment in history from the Catholic diocese in California not even 2 months ago. Billions of dollars to only 1,700 victims. So my question is, will you ask them also? Should a regular Catholic now that comes on your show have to defend Catholicism because of the actions of those priests?
So here's the thing. In Islam, you have to kill the people that made that committed that crime.
Stoned to death, bro.
But in Christianity, you forgive them. You
forgive
pray,
them what? So
you
they can do
repent,
it again
and you get
again?
forgiveness.
You forgive?
So they have to repent and they'll get forgiveness.
They repent. And you're going to stay on them 24/7 and make sure they never do it again, right? Screw me over once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. This forgiveness shit, okay? God is the most merciful. But God also has justice, okay? And eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, there are times for that because if you don't, it continues to happen. Some things there's no cure for. If you're that sick where you women, you need to not exist anymore. There is no forgiving. These people are
so
sick.
Bad, though.
It's bad.
Isn't that evil to
Have you
think like
studied
that?
these people's minds and how they actually operate? Most of them will continue to do it, even if you. So what are you going to do? So let me ask you: keep them in jail forever? I mean, what's the answer?
Yeah, you can put him in jail.
Okay, so one way or the other, their life's over, no? And usually, when they're found out that they're rapists, guess what happens to them in jail? They get killed. Here in America.
Yeah, but
they molest a kid, they end up in jail, they're dead, and they call it prison justice. One way or other, they end up getting what they deserve. My point is, let me ask you a question. So you think, what? Nothing, like just, okay, that's it, just jail. Most of the time, okay, when it comes to sexual crimes in America, less than half of those crimes are ever reported. Do you know that? Less than 50% of, and this episode you're screwed already, so you might as well just cut this all out. These words, the algorithm, no good, but most of the time, these acts happen to a woman in the United States, less than 50% get reported. Out of the 50% that get reported, less than 10% get convicted. So this is a society that's protecting women, no? What was the first question that they used to ask them for generations? On the night of the 5th, when you met my client Tommy, right, the lawyer of the actual criminal that did what he did, how were you dressed that day? And they would attack the woman based on how she was dressed.
Yeah.
They would victimize the victim. So what I'm saying is, where are you going with all this? My point is, you as a Christian should not have to defend the actions of Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh blew up the entire Oklahoma Center, 150 babies. The first major terrorist attack in U.S. history was done by a Christian white extremist who did it in the name of Christian teachings. Was he a Christian, Catalina? When
I
he
don't
can blow,
actually even know anything
I'm
about
just
this,
asking. Well, then when
subject.
you ask a certain question, be prepared for the response. My question to you is: do you feel the need to justify your faith based on his actions?
No, I feel the need of actually putting some wisdom.
Okay, but you're asking me
teaching
to
people,
defend
but
or
how
justify.
are you
I don't need
actually
to
helping
justify
these
because those people to me are not Muslim no more
But hate
than
doesn't-
Timothy
doesn't
McVeigh
get-
was a Christian. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? I don't even need to waste
can't
my breath on them.
You can't solve hate with hate. So what I'm asking from
No,
you
you can
is
solve hate
help your
with
people.
a bullet. If they're molesting children and women and killing innocent people, then they shouldn't exist. Simple.
You told me you like Martin Luther King Jr.
I do.
What about his teachings where
His
they
teachings
say
got them so far. But they his teachings were peaceful, but there was a lot of violence, wasn't there? They had to get a lot of broken bones and shot and hung. There was still violence, but it was only one-sided.
Yeah, but he said you have to.
Yeah, if the whole
Do
world
it
pokes
with
each
love.
other's eyes out, Mahatma Gandhi, yes, in essence, I like the resistance to be peaceful.
Right. So how do you teach these people to
But you're
become
talking
peaceful?
about, Callie, I'm talking about civil rights movement. I'm talking about
his
when the
mentality.
masses you're outgunned. Okay, civil disobedience is probably the only option you have unless you do guerrilla warfare, right? Those two options. You're talking about quote unquote Muslims, people in Europe.
And how can you
Two
help
different
these people
topics.
become
So I
better
can't give you.
Muslims?
I'm sorry.
How can you help these people become better Muslims?
First of all, they're not. How can you help those priests become better priests?
You can. Sitting
How?
down with them.
So they molested
talking.
20 boys. Boys.
There's hope
There's hope to do what?
to help them repent.
Really? Most of them keep doing it. Statistically proven. I dare you to pull up the
Because
stats.
nobody's there to help them out,
I
maybe.
promise you, those people on the street, they're doing it again. It is a spiritual.
So we should just kill each other.
I'm not saying kill each other, but you're saying what I would either A, get rid of them, or B, put them in jail for life. There's no negotiating with them. Same thing I would do with a terrorist. So what I'm saying is you cannot be a Muslim and kill innocent people. That's a fucking fact. You cannot be a Christian and kill innocent people.
So Muhammad would say, we'll applaud you right now. He would
Applaud
say,
me for what?
For whatever you just said.
For rapists?
For I'm going to kill them or put them to death.
So what is it? What's the punishment in Christianity for a woman?
You actually go to jail.
What's it in the book?
In
What's it in the book?
Christianity, that's
What's the
it's not
punishment
good.
in Christianity?
But what
they were
I'm
going to
saying
stone
is-
the Virgin Mary to death because she had Jesus without a husband, a physical mate. They wanted to stone her to death. So you explain to me now, in the Jewish tradition, what is the punishment for a rapist?
Jewish tradition?
What
I'm not
is the
Jewish.
punishment for adultery? It's the same in all three religions, Catalina. I don't know if you know that.
They're actually, no. Jesus came to bring love, forgiveness.
That's not true.
Jesus came to...
He says in some verses, he came to bring the judgment down and fire, and every knee will bend.
No, that's going to be on the judgment day.
Okay, so what do we do? Leave the rapist free and let them do
No,
it?
no,
So
what
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
is,
Your answer.
for
You're asking me my
you-
opinion. That's why I guess we're lucky I'm not the leader, because I would round them all up. You want to molest kids? Brrr, all of them.
So take
'Cause
them
you
all
gotta
in
be
one place,
sick.
talk to them, and see
See
how
what,
can you help.
Catalina?
How can you help these people?
How are you going to help them? They
how
want to
can you
sleep with
fix these
5-year-old
people?
kids, bro. 2-year-old kids. How are you going to
Okay,
help that person?
these people aren't, maybe you just need to not help. Like you can't help them. They're unfixable. You obviously they go to jail for life for what they did. But I'm talking about preventing this from
So
happening.
there's no helping
How
them.
can
You're
you
just throwing
prevent?
them into a hole and that's it. So clearly, even this society says, okay, we can't. They get 20 years and then you throw them into
Okay,
a cell.
this batch of people, they're ruined. They already committed the crime. They go to jail. But how can you
You
prevent
should
this
be
from
more,
happening?
You can't prevent it. Evil is out there. How are some of the ways you can prevent it? You live in a world where you can't trust your children with anybody. You better be vigilant. You better be paying attention. You better know where your children are at all times because we live in such a sick world. It takes 2 seconds for your child to be defiled. You don't have to give your kid a phone. All their friends have phones. When we were younger, if we wanted to see something bad, we'd have to try to get a videotape, hope that our parents weren't home, push it into the cassette player. Like, you had to go through obstacles to even try to see something that could corrupt your mind. Even if I don't give my child a phone, there's so many absentee parents that all they do is, hey, okay, my son doesn't have a phone, his friend does. Hey, Jimmy, come look at this. Next thing you know, he's looking at a video of a donkey sleeping with a woman. Like, literally in seconds. So we live in a world that is so dangerous to the young mind. And we have a duty to be as vigilant as we can. There is no way to prevent evil, Catalina. You have to push back. It'll be a battle that has existed since before we were even created. The devil declared war on Adam before he's breathed his first breath. As God was molding Adam, he declared war on him. So before we were even created, there's been this battle between good and bad, dark and light. And I think the only reason evil exists is somehow in God's knowledge, because we don't have his knowledge, is that it gives a chance for that battle, for that struggle, and that chance for because how can you be good without bad, right? How can there be dark without light? So how can people elevate spiritually without darkness? Something to fight against, something to prove yourself. Are you going to be a coward? If you see the world turning upside down, will you stand alone, even if it costs you your life? Do you value this life, which is so finite, more than the promise of the hereafter? If you're someone that believes, like, these are the things that we have in common, Catalina. We believe we were created by that creator. We believe that we are tried in this world. And we believe that there's a day where we will all answer, that no injustice, as horrible as everything we see is happening, there will be a day where all the accounts are cleared. Everyone will get exactly what they deserve.
Yeah, that's we will, but
that nothing is tragic from the perspective of the creator. Meaning, you guys are still stuck in time, and you miss your kid, and your kid got killed or whatever happened in the war, and you feel that pain. Because I think of my family all the time. I lost 30 people in 1998. Rounded up. The youngest member was 5 years old. They were blessed by Christian Orthodox monks of the Serbian military. I never once, Catalina, blamed Christianity. I never once said Christians explain. Why do I have to keep explaining to people like you about Islam? When are you guys going to be fair? The massacre of the Bosnians in Srebrenica, which was the greatest crime against humanity since World War II. Go look at the videos, Catalina. They have the Orthodox cross. That's not Orthodox Christianity. Do you think that that's right what they did? Unarmed men inside of a United Nations camp. I know that's not Christianity. That's why I've never ever once said, this is Christianity's fault. Never once. Yet even here, I have to try to defend my faith. My family was massacred by Christians. I don't consider them Christian. That's my whole point. Yeah. They were not Christian. I explained this to Albanians.
They're actually military people. They weren't even...
Listen to me. Go look at the video. The monks are blessing them with the water and go into battle. And I never once blamed Christianity. And I'm getting sick and tired as a Muslim having to defend the actions of criminals and terrorists and all this other shit, when if we want to fucking throw a glass, a rock, as Jesus said, he who has not sinned, throw the first stone. You guys don't even have a fucking foundation to stand on when it comes to that argument. You don't. And history,
you're talking about the
ask ChatGPT, what religion has caused more loss of life? Was it Islam or Christianity?
We have to remember that Islam came, in 700, so we were in the 1st century. You guys were, how many centuries? 6 centuries after us.
You guys are great with centuries. It took you 325 years to figure out if Jesus was God or not God. You had a debate for 325 years amongst yourselves.
It's actually
Ebionites. You ever heard of the Ebionites? They were the first followers of Christ, and they were exterminated. The Ebionites were Jews, the Israelites, because they didn't use that word.
Most were, yeah.
That believed Jesus was a prophet and not God. They were exterminated by people like Paul, who wrote 28% of your New Testament, a man that never met Christ. If you want to talk about authenticity and how far after, we came 600 years. But the Muslim would say, okay, well, you want to say Muhammad came 600 years after Jesus. How many years after Moses did Jesus come? Who gave him the right? And that's the Jews' argument. He came after Moses. Who's he to tell? So that argument can be used against Christianity also. And again, this is not to pick on you. I'm just showing you, when you ask this question, understand that it can be flipped right back.
If you look at his line, his bloodline, he comes from King David. So he is part of the...
He was from the house of Jacob.
And Mary comes from the blood of
Mary
King
was from
David.
Jacob, that's correct. But Abraham had 2 sons. One became the Israelites, one became the nation of the Arabs. They're cousins. And the Muslims believe when they killed John the Baptist, they chopped his head off. And then they tried to hang Jesus on the cross. They lost revelation from the Creator. And we believe that that comforter that's mentioned in John 15 and John 16 was none other than the Prophet Muhammad. This is the difference in faith. You can deny it all you want. We'll find out when he comes back. Until then, let's focus on the common enemy. Who's the common enemy? People that want war, that want to make large groups of people fight each other, that want to alter the creation of God, that want you to say, no, you're a man, you could be a woman, and to defile everything the Creator created. That is the common enemy. I promise you it's not the Muslims. That I can promise you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And until then, because I don't want the podcast to get canceled for
we're
much.
already in radioactive territory.
So
you might as well release this on Rumble. Like,
oh my
we're
gosh.
in trouble. Like,
yes. So
I know you're enjoying it.
I don't want to get too much into the religion right now because it's going to get
She goes,
long.
I don't want to get into religion, but I'm asking you a question about Muslim rapists. And use the word Muslim. Why not just say migrant
rapists? Now, because, we're going to get...
They use the word migrant in America, but for Europe, they're Muslim. They don't call all the Latinos coming from down south Catholic migrants. But notice the double standards. Notice the racism. Notice the Islamophobia. How come we don't call them the Mexicans, the Salvadorians,
we're
the Peruvians?
We're going to present you this article
The Mexicans, in my opinion, they got a right to go all the way up to Texas and California because it was stolen land.
No.
I'm fair.
This is a question from the Parliament,
but
the
do
European
they call
Parliament.
them Catholic migrants?
They came in.
Why do they classify these people? Which, by the way, you have people like Dominik Tarczewski of Poland. We are so proud that we do not let one Muslim migrant into the country. A man that spews hatred. A man whose country sent thousands of soldiers in the invasion of Iraq on false pretenses from the West that there was weapons of mass destruction, leading to the death of 1 million Iraqis. That's a better question to ask. Why did these countries send soldiers to invade another land that led to the death, killing, and the loss of life of millions of people? You should be asking them those questions instead of a few criminals who the media wants to classify as Muslim when they don't do it to any other group.
No, they call themselves that.
Okay? They don't do it to any other group. Why don't they call them whatever nationality they are? Why is only Muslims called criminals by their faith? Timothy McVeigh openly said he was a Christian extremist, blew up the Oklahoma City Center. The guy in Christchurch kills 100 Muslims in prayer. Christian manifesto, crosses on his guns. They never once called him a Christian terrorist. I'm asking you, is that fair? If you're taking your faith out of it, is it fair if you're being neutral? Yes or no?
So
tell your audience, let them be the judge.
I don't think they went there and they said, oh, I'm Christian, I need to do this.
Oh, no,
but
they did.
What's going on in the UK?
He was playing songs about killing Muslims. This is all recorded, documented. He goes into the mosque, crosses in onto his gun, and opens fire on an unarmed crowd while they pray. I'm asking you, did he represent Christianity?
No, they did not, but they didn't.
Okay,
he
so
didn't.
he doesn't represent Christianity no more than a terrorist represents my faith. That's what I've been saying to you for the last 45 minutes. And I think it's pretty crystal clear, and I think your audience will agree with that. So, do you think she's going to play the episode?
We'll see.
Let's see if she's true to journalism.
Yes. No, the point was...
Or is she going to edit it out?
Maybe. I'm probably going to edit it out. But the point was actually to get advice. Peaceful advice, wisdom from you for those people.
I take offense to it. You should go ask the priest why they molested thousands of kids and swept it under the rug for hundreds of years.
And I bet you there are priests that would actually give me advice for those people. Before you ask me to
talk about people that to me are not Muslim, go start within your own faiths. Start with the Anglican Church. Last month, the bishop resigned, the head. Start with the Pope and all the cardinals.
I don't actually associate with any of those.
Okay, so just like you don't associate, I don't associate with them. I'm sure it offends you too a little bit, doesn't it? When I ask you that way. It does.
No, actually it doesn't.
Okay.
No.
Well, it should.
It's Christian Orthodox.
It's a lot of boys that got their no-no places touched.
No,
and it was swept under the rug for hundreds of years.
You obviously haven't studied Christianity because...
You haven't studied Islam.
How many denominations
For a woman in Islam, you get stoned to death. You get killed. You get buried to your head and they throw stones until you die. That's Islam.
Yeah, but how many denominations do you have in Islam?
There's 2 and other subgroups.
Okay, right?
But basically, there's probably 60 versions of it, but the difference is there's only one Quran.
Yeah,
We
there's
don't
only
have,
one Bible too.
no,
we don't have.
No, there's not. There's the King Dewey
But
Bible.
it's the way
The
they
King
translated
Dewey
it, but
Bible.
it's
Then
still
all of
the
a sudden,
same
King
scripture.
James woke up one day and said, "I'm going to make my own Bible," and he left 7 books. 7 books out of the Dewey Bible. That is a version, not a translation. We got translations. But every Muslim knows, whether they're white, black, brown, or yellow, that the Quran is only original in its Arabic.
But you have different translations as well.
Translations, we don't say they're the original. The original is in Arabic. But how many Christians pray the same? You guys are not even uniformed in prayer. You can't even agree on what language Christ's book came in. It took you 325 years to figure out whether he was God or not God at the Council of Nicaea. These are facts. I'm not making it up. I challenge your audience to go look at it. They couldn't figure out for 325 years. This is a fact. You should go investigate.
So
for 325 years, they couldn't figure out whether he was divine or not. Imagine
Christian
that.
Orthodox,
and that was the break
the
between.
same.
That was the break.
That was the schism, the great
And one
schism.
side became Santa Claus world and pagan rituals, and Jesus is born on Mithra's birthday, December 25th. The religion was spread by the Romans. Christ didn't come for the Romans. He came for the what? The lost sheep of Israel. But when Jesus comes back, he's coming for the whole world.
We're going to have to conclude it there.
You're crazy if you don't air this episode. This episode will be the greatest episode you've ever filmed.
I'm telling you, I'm not even going to go in there because it's going to, it can get wild. So, life. Let's get some,
you see the
let's
difference?
talk about relationships.
I talk about these things. I air it. I take the backlash. She won't take the backlash.
We're going to get too long. It's already an hour and 6 minutes. But,
That's
and I
true
still have
free
enough.
Speech. Let the audience decide.
Okay, so we have some live questions.
I wish I did this remote. Remote, he was calmer.
Oh, yeah. Should more and more people are invulnerable in relationships? They don't want to talk. They don't want to open themselves up to any kind of hurt.
Like when they date?
Why do you think that is? Yeah.
Because they've probably been hurt already, right? You get hurt, and no one forgets the first time they get hurt, right? I think men in the beginning, they're innocent, right? Women too. I think they fall in love, something goes wrong, and then they become players. And I think the same thing happens to women. And it happens too many times, you just become numb, and now your expectations, you're always going to get hurt, so why should I be invested? You know, I don't ever, it's very painful, man. If you love someone, you share your freaking body with them, man. I mean, what else more you want to, like your body? And you're just doing it over and over, and eventually you become numb. And you stop to believe that love can exist. And I think that's what happens. I think people get hurt. They stop believing that they can find the right person or whatever. And I think because they go through so much trial and error, and they take a piece of everyone they've been with, and then they put it on the next one, I think you just keep creating a greater chance of failure, in my opinion. I really do. I think the more people you get used to, whether it's a woman or a man, you're creating something that you may never be able to, the unicorn, because now you're like, well, I like that, I like this, I like that, but I didn't like, and that now it's harder and harder and harder to find this ideal person. I think that there's no one that's perfect. We all make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I think that outside the boundaries of a spiritual relationship, I think the odds are against you. I think if two people believe in a higher power, the odds are higher because of the ideology, because of the consequences if you commit adultery or cheat on each other, and the fact that you do believe in a creator and that's recorded on your record. You know, adultery is one of the greatest sins there is. It's punishable by death if you're caught in the act in certain faiths. And Islam can shorten your lifespan. God will literally, you're supposed to live 50, no, you're going to live 20 years now. So there's some very serious repercussions. And if people believe in that stuff, whether it's true or not, that's a whole other debate. You know, I would say fear the man or woman who fears no one. So at least if there's the concept of God, I would have some type of fear or shame to hurt my partner. And I think because we've gone out of those traditional boundaries throughout time, that we are in the society we're in, right? This breakdown, the family unit, divorce, and then there's violent crime. And now you have a generation that was created out of lust and not love. And because they were created out of lust is why you have 90% of violent crime committed by single-parent homes. This is a fact. Look up the stats. So because they were created out of lust and not love, you have what we have today. the bastard generation. And we are feeling their wrath. And it's not even their fault. I actually, after understanding all these stats, I actually feel bad for the criminal, man. I really do. I know it sounds crazy.
Do you now?
Listen,
You were just killing them.
I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the people that steal and whatever, but in some shape or form, okay, I feel bad if they didn't have any guidance in their life, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so, but what I'm saying is, I think some of the crimes you're talking about, I think these people are so far gone, okay, there's no hope.
But you can
for them.
prevent.
Listen, you sleep with 100 boys, you got some fucking problems.
She actually
okay?
slept with 1,000 in a
I'm
day.
talking about a guy
Remember
that
that
molests
girl?
boys. Yeah, she's not. It will not end well for her. If she doesn't change her course of life, you mark my words, she will not. Because not only is she sinning in a way that's disgusting, okay, she's sinning openly. And with that arrogance, God will make an example of her, as he has done to many adult film stars. Look at their lifespans. They all die premature deaths. You want to be public? You want to be a weapon of this satanic type shit that you're doing? Your lifespan will not last long. Look at, what's her name? I Dream of Jeannie, whatever the fuck her name is. Jenna, what was her name, man, from the 90s or early 2000s?
The blonde chick?
Jenna Jameson or
Yeah,
whatever.
Jenna Jameson.
I feel it's like debilitating illness. Like, it does not end well for them. Especially, there's a difference between sinning openly and sinning and being ashamed of it and trying to work on it, you understand? And you're communicating to God and you're embarrassed of it. But when you flaunt and you're arrogant with your sin, he will make an example of you. He will make an example of you. And he does all the time. We don't see it unless we're looking with spiritual eyes.
So what you're saying is basically pick someone that's in the same spirit with you. What if you
I tell my sons, okay, please marry someone that believes in God. I don't care what denomination. It's not, oh, you got to marry a Muslim. And you can't force a non-Muslim woman to convert in Islam, even if you marry her. That's a fact of our faith.
Really?
Okay, yeah, really. I know, it's hard to believe with all the TikTok propaganda.
You're not Muslim?
She embraced it.
Okay.
On her own. Did anyone force you? Are you covered? Like, it's her choice. There is no compulsion in faith. Chapter 2 of the Holy Quran. Force. What good is force?
Yeah,
if I force you, that's not faith. That's not
going to be
belief.
truthful to the...
Exactly. You might even pretend to be of that faith, and deep down inside, you're really whatever.
Didn't get it.
It's got to come from you want to be. You believe it to be. Forcing doesn't work.
And but you're not the strict kind that tells her you need to wear this, you need to...
I prefer she dress modestly.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of things that women don't take into consideration. To sit here and tell me that the way you dress doesn't have an impact on your life and the way people perceive you, you're being an asshole, is what you're being. Okay? Naturally, when women dress tightly, most men would say, well, she wants us to... You're doing it because... You're not doing it because you're not looking at yourself. You're doing it because you're getting a false sense of, I'm important. I'm desirable. That's all it is. And when you're putting yourself out there in that way, you are attracting now the advances and the looks of men. And now when you're married, you're putting your man in a very hostile environment. Why? Because now they say something to you when he's with you, and now what's he supposed to do? Now it's a matter of, does he defend the honor of his woman and maybe get killed for it? So you guys keep playing your games. I have a friend who got paralyzed, hit over the back of his head with a pool stick and got killed because he was at a bar and some girl just broke up with her man and she went and started flirting with him. He didn't even know she had a boyfriend or fought. He just came and killed him. He didn't even do anything wrong. So there's a responsibility to all of us. The way a woman dresses is telling the world, this is my message. This is who I am. It doesn't give men the right to touch them or harass them or catcall them. But at the same time, if you don't like that type of stuff, I promise you when a Muslim woman's covered, she's not being catcalled. I promise you. Very rare. If a regular woman's being catcalled 1,000 times, the Muslim's being catcalled once out of 1,000 times. Would you agree or disagree? Are people harassing nuns in the street? No, they're not. Are they saying, hey, sister, you look... No. But I'm just saying, they're not. Because they are representing themselves, and I do not want the catcalling of men. I do not want to be harassed based on my sex. And that clothing is not an oppression in the sense that it's more of a protection. Okay? Because if they can't see what they want, they won't attack what they want. And unfortunately, because we have sick people like you just mentioned in that article where we went off on a tangent, okay? If they can't see what they desire, they're less likely to attack it, okay? Because there's sick people everywhere, Catalina. In every faith, in every nationality, in every race, in every creed. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. You are right about that. Somebody said, if you dress like the FedEx person, I'm expecting you to bring me mail. If you dress a certain way, you're going to get what you're...
I mean, you dress modestly.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of women understand, like, men are actually more, at least the men I know. And I'm not even talking about Muslims, I'm just talking about just men. There's something more about, I wish I could know. I wish I could see. Like, it's more attractive to us. Like, wow, this woman has respect for herself. It's so attractive.
Leave some space for imagination.
Yeah.
Like,
not like Kanye West. Here, let me show the whole world.
What was that
Let
about?
me show the whole world what only I should have the right to see. And he claims to be a Christian. Can you justify his actions as a Christian?
I really don't think he's a Christian. And
But he says he is. So I'm
to
asking you, is he a Christian?
I think he's the...
I don't think he is. I'm a Muslim and I don't think
possessed.
he's a Christian.
I think he's possessed.
Okay.
Something is going on with that guy.
If he's possessed, then so are those people you asked me about. That's my point, Catalina. I could call myself
he
whatever
is.
I want. If the religion says don't do this and people do it, does that mean they're following the religion? No. So why are they using that label to identify people that are not following the religion? It's a direct contradiction.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kanye is going to be some other religion.
I wouldn't be
next
surprised
year.
if he's still breathing with the type of stuff he's been writing on X today. He's pissing off a lot of people, the wrong people. I'm not saying because of me. I believe in free speech. But I feel like him and his wife, if that's even his wife, are in danger.
I feel bad for her. She's the sex slave.
I think she loves it, bro. I saw her at the party singing. She loves the attention. Don't underestimate that, Catalina. Vanity is a dangerous sin.
Doesn't she see that he's using her to get back to Kim?
No, I think it's both.
We all know that.
Yeah, but I think it's both. She's using him, he's using her. That is not a marriage built out of respect and love. It's a marriage of convenience and using each other, and it's disgusting, bro. And they should be ashamed of themselves.
What about Beyonce now?
That was one of the signs. That was, by the way, that was one of the signs of the end of the world in Islam. When women are clothed, when women appear to be clothed but are naked, wait for the hour. She was literally naked, and they were saying she was clothed in her gown. It was sheer. No, she was naked, okay?
The plastic thing, yeah.
But she was clothed. It's literally prophecy of the end of time in the religion of Islam.
Oh, gosh. What about Beyonce? What are your thoughts on that? Why are so many Americans obsessed with that woman?
I don't know, man. I don't even think about it, so you're asking the wrong person.
Okay.
She doesn't even cross my mind at all.
You're like, I don't want to lose my followers.
No, I don't care about her at all. Like, could care. All I know, she used to be a spiritual woman. I wonder if she still is. I think they started as gospel singers. If I'm not mistaken. I could care less about her.
Yeah, it's like a cult. It's like if you say something bad about her, you can...
beyond me. Don't care. Don't want to know.
Now, we have some quick questions, and these you have to give me quick answers before we wrap it up.
And then she asked me some crazy question, and he's like 3-hour explanation.
No, we're going to make it quick. Imagine this. You find a remote that can rewind, fast forward, stop, and start time. What would you do with it?
I can go back or just...
You can go back,
machine,
fast
right?
forward, stop, start, rewind. Would you
I think what
rewind?
I would do is I would take I can bring my smartphone with me.
Yeah.
I would beam back to Jesus, ask him if he was God or not God, and then come back here, and that would have probably ended like half the wars that happened in the last couple thousand years.
And now you would be Christian, and then we'll be best friends?
You would probably be Muslim, but it's all right.
Oh, second question. Your younger self shows up at your door. What's the first thing they notice?
They notice about me or I notice about them?
You lost some hair?
They're going to notice I'm fat, I'm bald, you know, I've matured a lot. I would say I finally grew up. Probably in my late 30s, I finally grew up. If it was the other way around, though, I would slap myself.
Really?
You stupid fool. From your time to my time is going to go by like this. Don't waste a second. Use your time with intention. Like move, man, you know, like it's gonna go by from 20 to 40. My God, tell me no.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
I'm telling you.
Like this, kids.
Especially the 30s. I blinked and I was 40. I'm
Gone.
like, what? That's not fair.
Gone.
Gone.
In seconds.
Yeah.
Next.
You get to swap lives with any fictional character. Who are you picking and why?
Fictional character?
Anybody.
Ed Norton in Fight Club. No, I'm joking.
I was like, you got some anger issues.
I don't know. That's a good question, man. Like, it doesn't matter, like,
No, it could
any
be.
movie in the world?
It doesn't have to be
Or
from a
fictional?
movie. It could be any kind of character. It could be a historical. It could be
So it could be anybody.
anybody. And a person. Who would you pick and why?
See, that's a question I wish I would have had ahead of time. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I kind of like my life, man. I wouldn't trade it with anyone's.
That's awesome.
I feel like I was here for a reason, and I think I've done a lot of good. But I would like to do more good. So I'm sitting here thinking, like, who could I be to do more good? I would never pick someone spiritual because I don't have the right to be those people, right? Like the prophets and Jesus. But I don't know, man. I pass.
All right.
It's a hard one.
Man, you're always so prepared. I'm surprised. You always
See,
got
that's
something.
the first time I got stunned on a question.
But you know what? On my podcast, it's about challenging.
Give me a
my
second, because
guests.
it'll come back to me. But go ahead. I want to think it out. I don't want to just give you some bullshit generic. I want to put some thought
just want
into
to put
it.
some thought. Yeah, sit on it. If you could uninvent one thing, what would it be and why?
It's a good one too. I like that. Probably, I would say gunpowder, bro.
Really?
Yeah, it's just too many people died because of gunpowder, man. You know, war. I hate war, Catalina. I don't like the fact. Unfortunately, it's just a part of this existence. Yeah, I would uninvent that, man. I would actually, to be honest, in today's world, I would uninvent the internet. That's what I would take away. I would take the
Dang.
internet. You guys wouldn't see
The
me. Poof, I'd be
internet?
gone. But it would be a better world, I promise you. You might go over to see your family, eat some Entenmann's cake, drink some coffee, talk to your dad maybe for real instead of thinking that you're seeing him just because he's posting on. I would get rid of the internet.
They told me, if you don't get the Fauci, you're never going to see your
And if
family.
I take out the
I could
internet-
see them on WhatsApp.
If I take out the internet, they can't even do what they want to do to us. You understand? They won't be able to have the surveillance state.
That
And
knife.
they won't be able to have social credit. Like it would take care of all of that and make people normal again.
Double sword, yeah.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get rid of the net, man. It's the reason why it's called the World Wide Web.
Not the
Web is-
nuclear weapons? Nukes?
I don't think. I mean, by the time we use those things, I hope they use them. To be honest, I was gonna get it over with.
Dang.
The way we're treating each other, just finish it fast. Poor nature. I mean, yeah. You said one thing. I'm trying to say what would be the one thing I could remove that would be the best case for humanity right now where we are. Internet. If we could get rid of that, they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing.
And if you could ask me one, if there's a question that you wish I had asked but didn't, what would it be?
No, I like it.
We only covered half of this, but it's because we went on the whole ordeal
Well,
there.
You're gonna
But,
if you're smart, Catalina, you're gonna leave this thing exactly the way it filmed. If you're in it to make it in this world, in this industry, people want the real. They don't want the cutout. They want to see the response. It's not whether you like it or not. There's people I have on my show. I don't like what they say sometimes, but it's not for me to decide. It's for the audience. We don't like censorship in one capacity, then don't become one yourself.
If you move to Vegas, me and you are going to have a lot deeper conversations. Hopefully, Juliana will join too. That'd be cool. So, yeah, to wrap it up, you guys, go follow
There was like
back.
50 reels in there, bro, but she's gonna destroy the episode.
So, let's see. What do we want to say? Where do they follow you?
At BEK Lover NYC. Please, no death threats. I love you, my Christian brothers and sisters, but when I get called out, I gotta call it out. Sorry. I'm trying to unite us. They're trying to divide
and
us.
I have nothing against Islam either, so we're good.
No.
All right. So, have a good night. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
It's all love. It really is.
We're good. Thanks.
Ciao.